asking, is the action of government backed by law? Are the science is telling us everything we need to know? And are the anti-vaxxers, that is those who are against vaccination forcibly, have a point that needs to be looked at critically? We'll be looking at that. Also this morning, some 8,000 NPP delegates take over Kumasi for their annual delegates conference to undertake some important reviews of some 38 proposals and vote for or against them. We take a look at a few of these proposals, those which may pass and those which may potentially fail, and the opportunities for expansion of internal democracy within the party. And just a quick update for those of you who have been keenly following proceedings in Parliament yesterday, late into the night. The Finance Committee of the House and the House generally have decided to suspend deliberations on the e-levy. Now, the minority remains in its position that it will not agree to the scope of and designated fee of 1.75% for the e-levy, and so that is suspended for now. Now, the key points is live on TV3 and 3FM 92.7, also around the world at 3news.com, also on our Facebook page, TV3 Ghana. So between now and 10 a.m., I look forward to hearing from you. Just send us a WhatsApp on 055-369-8789. You can also tweet at me, at Beho Bampo, and also at TV3_Ghana and at 3FM 92.7. We take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hisense Ghana Mobi Bia Fishiapa. Experience the best Christmas sales ever at Hisense. Take part in the Hisense Bronya Don't Call Me and get a real discount on all products from 18th of December to 8th January 2022. You can always trust Hisense for best quality, durability, efficiency, affordability, and style. Hisense has the widest range of electronic appliances for your comfort. Whether you're looking for television, refrigerator, chest freezer, air conditioner, gas cooker, washing machine, smartphone, sound system, water dispenser, microwave oven, blender, rice cooker, kettle, or iron, we got it all. Get yourself ready, and when it's time, confidently walk into any Hisense showroom and get yours. Hisense is the only electronic company that gives you 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people.
You want 15,000 Ghana cedis. Sapato the bed.
Me the better cement.
Yeah, me home sika kesi no me no supreme.
I start to amigo. Fe. Me nenye to amigo I get 10,000.
But skal pacho de ko dey.
Me be try me no.
But we in the den we be a
star 500 hash.
Let me say nyampa kra. My winnie for 5,000.
Bia ye be mesika. It is our Airtel Tigo so a make sure say what dial star 500 hash no activate it to go so no.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Introducing new Sunlight 2-in-1. It gives you burst after burst after burst of long-lasting freshness. New Sunlight 2-in-1 for burst after burst of long-lasting freshness.
Every day he has a drink filled with malt. Every day he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved.
Sometimes you just know that something ain't going good. You say to yourself, this ain't working for me. There be no shame in that, man.
Like when you don't got it?
Yeah, man, I mean, being smart means knowing when to stop. Know your limit.
So like knowing when to stop? Yeah, makes sense.
If it's not fun, choose to stop.
This advertisement is brought to you by Bet Power.
This Sunday on Mentor X, it's the final eviction night. 6 contestants remain, but only 5 will earn a place at the grand finale. To make it past this round, they have to be flawless in all their performances. It's going to be a night filled with all sorts of emotions, and you have the power to determine which contestants make it to the grand finale. Keep voting your favorite contestant's name on the short code *713*13# or download the TV3 Reality app and vote. Join us again this Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on TV3 as the contestants justify their inclusion at the grand finale of Mentor X. TV3 Mentor takes you higher. Mentor X is brought to you by Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil and Napa Foods Sense Body Spray, Club, Better Malt, Tom Vita, Close Up, Geisha, Drugnet,
Cowbell, our milk.
Things need to be fixed. And it's not just about NPP or NDC, it's about Ghana. All the leaders have failed us. If Kwame Nkrumah didn't do what he did, would we be here today? If he didn't start the foundation, lay a foundation for us, would we be here today? What foundation are our leaders?
Please, slow down for your honor, okay? You don't understand anything.
And then shut up and bend over. Let your back do the talking over. So back up and bend over. And let your body do the talking over. So pass me the dutchie. Pretty girl, come wine pon me cocky. 10 toes, one girl, make you touch it. Touch it, touch it, touch it.
The wait is over. The most celebrated, multiple award-winning courtroom drama series in Ghana is back. Kijitia vs. Makola, where the streets meets the law. It's bigger, better, and stacked with more humor. Kijitia vs. Makola. Brand new episodes.
Kijitia vs. Makola every Saturday 9 p.m. and repeats on Fridays at 2 p.m. on TV3.
Here on the key points. Now, all seemed in support of government's measures to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic, and there has been much praise for efforts to control the impact of COVID from a health perspective and economic perspective. But since government, through the Minister of Health and the Ghana Health Service, announced mandatory COVID-19 vaccinations for certain category of workers in Ghana and for now anyone coming into the country, there's a growing anti-COVID-19 vaccine narrative that is, gradually seeping into the narrative there. And this is something that should not be ignored. There's criticism that the policy direction is also not fully backed by law. Many remain unconvinced also by the science because a lot is still learned about COVID-19 and hence some uncertainty about whether mandatory vaccination is really the best approach to fight COVID-19. As you may know, the WHO says just a little over 6% of Africa's population have been fully vaccinated or at least received one jab. But the WHO has been aiming for 40% of global population vaccination, and it seems there's still no end in sight for that, because with the new Omicron variant, there's a lot of infection going on and numbers are going up in the global north. When our guests join us, we'll deal with that. But one of our guests joins us on Zoom. Dr. Anaba is the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Health Policy and Research Analysis, and he joins us live. Good morning to you, Dr. Anaba. So there seems to be some growing opposition to the vaccine mandates that government has put forward, going under Section 22 of the Public Health Act. Should we have expected this, or this is a bit of a surprise?
Thank you, Jifa. Good morning to you, and good morning to your cherished listeners and panelists who are here to join you. Yes, we have all received the news about government's intention to force all people who are eligible to get vaccinated against coronavirus. And I can tell you, this has come to me as a very big surprise. I never thought in my wildest dream that Ghanaians would be forced to take coronavirus vaccines, because there are so many reasons that does not make this vaccine mandatory. For now, this is what I'll tell you. It came to me as a very big surprise.
So where do you stand on this? Is it that for you there's no legal basis, there's no health basis, or it's both?
It's both. The first place, if you go to the act that they are basing on, you realize that we don't have an EI. Nothing has been sent to Parliament for approval. And so I don't see why an institution or a company or somebody should just get up and say, we are making this mandatory. Even when we wanted to restrict just common movement of people, common movement, the president had to go to Parliament to get an EI to be able to restrict just our movement. How much more putting a chemical into our body that as we speak, there is no concrete scientific authorization that says that this is a successful vaccine. So both legal and scientific wise, health-wise, you can't. It defies what we call patient's charter. Even look, medicines that have been approved to be used for other epidemic and pandemics that are very safe, 99% safety secured, side effect well studied, no one has ever made them mandatory. No one. So I don't see why this vaccine, let me call it a vaccine to be approved, because as of now, it is on an emergency certificate or authorization. That does not make manufacturers liable. So I don't see why you should force people to vaccinate. If you want to check...
Dr. Anaba, we are in a time of unprecedented events of monumental proportion. 5 million people have died because of COVID-19. That's almost the entire population of Greater Accra, for instance. So imagine the entire population of Greater Accra, God forbid, dead. And then you have what? How many millions of people who've been infected by this disease? The WHO has put forward documentation saying that people are less likely to fall severely ill and eventually die if they at least are vaccinated. Doesn't that make a strong public health case, seeing the impact, the economic impact that COVID is ravaging? If we want to continue economically, we cannot do so without a healthy population. We need to keep people safe, don't we?
Yes, I know we are in a global world, and any infectious disease that can be transmitted easily, the whole world needs to tackle it. Thankfully, even places that the pandemic has devastated them terribly have not imposed this mandate. They haven't imposed this mandate. Africa, take Africa, or even just take Ghana. We are a population of almost 31 million. So far, I think we've had just 130-something thousand people infested by the virus. Again, those who were infested, 98.3% of them survived. Those who died, majority of them, per studies conducted within our own systems, published in MedPoop, PubMed, published in Lancet, published in big journals, shows that majority of those people who died had comorbidities, which they could equally die even if they didn't have coronavirus. So I don't see why Ghana, that it has been very lucky from this pandemic, should be the one rather pushing for a mandatory vaccinating when people are still skeptical. People are still what? Skeptical about it. Not only skeptical, but scientific evidence has shown that this vaccine so far that they are pushing onto Ghanaians has not been proven to protect anybody fully.
But no vaccine certainly protects anyone fully. And you're a medical doctor. For somebody who has experience of the medical profession, the narrative you're pushing, which may seem in tune with the anti-vaxxers, may seem a disservice to the general population. How would you respond to that then?
No, Jifa, it is not. You see, if you follow the history, the trajectory in the formulation of this vaccine, it has kept so many regulatory points, especially it hasn't undergone what we call phase 4 study. They did it up to phase 3. Every vaccine is supposed to go up to phase 4, where they can conclude on the side effects, how long it can last in you before you get another vaccine, or whether you will be immune, have immunity forever. This vaccine hasn't had that. That is why our FDA never gave it approval. It gave it an emergency authorization to be used. I am not against vaccines. Let me be clear with the general public. I am one of those who advocated for the vaccines, and I've said when we get the silver bullet, we will be lucky. And the silver bullet came, but the silver bullet has started disappointing us. And we are 2 years. We're almost a year since the vaccine came. We are gathering a lot of information about the vaccine, which we should be very careful. Everybody has studied what polio can do to you, even long term. The whole world has studied what meningitis vaccine can do to you long term. COVID-19 vaccine has not been studied for that. So we are still not conclusive about it. It is still a drug under emergency authorization. It's still a drug under emergency authorization. Yes, it is true, it has prevented or minimized the number of people who fall critically ill. But if you look at this scenario, who are those who are more vulnerable? The most vulnerable people to COVID-19 are the elderly and people with comorbidities. It has already attacked several people with those comorbidities, especially in the developed countries, where the architecture of the cities supports the quick transmission of the virus. Africa and developing countries, it hasn't been so. It is studies within some group of scientists that try to simulate whether young people in rural folks can be immune to it, prove that yes, young people in rural areas, less highly dense cities, would change the narrative of the COVID-19 spread. And this has really happened. If you use Ghana as a case, check where we have had serious cases. Check how many rural communities have had a serious outbreak, because our architecture of our edifices and things do not support the spread of the virus.
I'll come back to you on that, because there are a few other questions about whether we've actively been testing and checking, and so the numbers that we have may present a story about whether really there could actually be more cases. So I'll come back to you, but let me come back to studio and welcome our guests in studio. To my far right, Martin Pebu, private legal practitioner. Thank you very much, sir, for coming in. And then, of course, Professor Godwin Awandare, founding director of the West Africa Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, WACBIP. Thank you very much, Prof, for making some time to come in. Generally, there's been a lot of positivity about dealing with COVID-19 on a public health level and also on the economic level. Let me start with you, Professor Wandare, just because we finished with Dr. Anaba. Since government announced mandatory vaccination, suddenly there seems to be a growing anti-vaccination narrative. It's almost as if the vaccine hesitancy we thought had vanished has suddenly re-emerged. Did we misread the situation?
Yeah, okay. Good morning, Jafar, and good morning to your viewers out there. So, first, I think one of the things that worry us as scientists is the attempt to use this vaccine mandate or attempts at imposing vaccine mandate to then use it as a platform for anti-vaccine rhetoric. And I think that's very dangerous. We need to separate the two issues. If you are making a legal case about whether this is actually proper or not, let's stay there. Let's make a legal case. But to then move ahead and start to question the science around the vaccines and ask questions about whether the vaccine actually works and whether it's even necessary, I think that's really dangerous because like you said, I thought we had moved past that stage. All the credible data from across the world shows that the vaccine saves lives. It reduces the disease severity. It reduces hospitalization, reduces even the percentage of symptomatic infections. And in some cases, some of the vaccines actually reduce transmission. Not all of them, but there are some of them that reduce transmission. So there's clearly a positive impact from these vaccines. So if we're going to make an argument about the legalities of it, let's keep it there. Let's not try to worsen our already bad vaccine hesitancy by raising questions about the vaccine itself.
But Dr. Wandare, many will ask these questions partly because today I was listening to international news coming in. And in spite of the high vaccination levels in places like the UK, France, Germany, the US, now people are being told you need to take a booster shot. Yeah. The infections are rising. So it will then beg the question as to whether really the vaccine are actually doing what it's supposed to do. And then you will have others question the science.
Yeah. So, yes, that's a legitimate question to ask. But let's bear in mind that vaccines are different. And vaccines for different diseases have different features and characteristics. So there are vaccines that you take one shot and you are good for life, okay? There are other vaccines that you need to take every 10 years. Still, there are others that you have to take every year, like flu vaccines. You understand? So it depends on the disease and the dynamics of the immune response that is generated with the vaccine. So we cannot say that because people take the vaccine and after 6 months they need a booster, that means the vaccine is not working. The reason why in many of the countries that have high vaccine coverage, they're still getting cases is because of the time lag. So countries like Israel, they were first off the block to vaccinate everybody. What that means is that by the time we started getting Delta and others, most of the population had been vaccinated more than 8 months ago. And if you look at the curve of how the antibodies last, normally after 6 months, they start to decline very rapidly. So what it means is that if a country has fully vaccinated its population, and then 8 months later there's a new variant, of course it will affect the people as if the vaccination rate wasn't high. You understand? So it's not the case that the vaccine is not working. It's that we're still trying to understand the disease and the dynamics. But we know for sure that if you take the vaccine, if you are fully vaccinated, within the first 6 months, you are very well protected compared to people who are not vaccinated. There's no question about that anywhere. It is beyond that you start to see a drop-off in the protection. And that's why they need boosters. You understand? And then let me just make the point about people saying that in Africa or in Ghana, the cases are just 100,000 or whatever. You rightly mentioned, we're not doing sufficient testing and people are not reporting. It is true that in sub-Saharan Africa, it seems that the disease is not as severe as elsewhere. So it means that people are not getting severely sick. So most of them don't report and get tested. We have a study which that we are doing, which we'll share very soon, which shows that across Ghana, after the third wave, nearly 50% of the people had been exposed. So we looked at antibodies in people across the country, in public places, nearly 50%, so 47.5%.
So they'd been exposed to COVID-19?
Yes.
Did they have it? Were they asymptomatic?
Exactly. So if you ask them, the vast majority of them never got tested because they didn't feel sick enough to get tested. So they didn't even know that they had COVID. A few of them, you ask, they will say that, oh, they remember not feeling well, but just for a day or two, and they didn't bother. They didn't go to get tested. But the majority of them, didn't even get tested. So that means that the testing is not capturing about 80% of the people who are infected. So if we assume that just because people are not showing up to get tested, that there's no COVID here, it's not correct. It's misleading. And by the way, there may not be severe symptoms right now, but we don't know the long-term effects of harboring the virus. So if people are getting COVID-19 and they're having mild symptoms and they're not showing up to hospital, we shouldn't say that, okay, it's well and good. Any infection cannot be well and good. You don't know what damage it leaves behind after it goes. Maybe 5 years from now, you'd go to the hospital with another condition. They'll say, it was COVID that left.
It was traced back.
Yes.
It can be traced back.
Yes, because this vaccine, this virus, that it does damage to our organs. Because once it gets into your bloodstream, it induces such an inflammatory response that you can have damage to several organs that you may not know. And so young people think that they are robust because they don't show symptoms, but you don't know what's going to happen years down the line. Okay. So we cannot just assume that because we are not testing everybody, and only people, testing is mainly voluntary. Either people who show up in the hospital and they are sick, or people who are traveling. That's how we get our test data. If you look at the countries which are reporting high numbers like the UK, people are testing themselves every day. They are required to test themselves every day and report it. So people are at home and they're testing and reporting. So that's why the numbers are up. Can you imagine if we were doing that here? You see the numbers you'll be reporting? So let's not compare apples and oranges. Our system is completely different from those other systems, both in terms of how we respond to the virus and our own health data gathering system. So let's not compare the two.
Okay, I'll come back to you on more on this because there's still a few issues in relation to the mandatory testing and then, of course, the vaccination that you mentioned that may be happening elsewhere, which we're not doing. It seems we're now just doing one part of it. Martin Kpebu, thanks for joining us. So has government made a mistake by not putting the EI first to give a legal backing and justification for the mandatory vaccination? Because for some, you put in the legal measures first, then any other, for want of a better word, complaints, you deal with it later. Yes. Now we don't have the EI in place, and we are telling people that certain categories of workers will have to be mandatorily vaccinated. People coming into the country, well, it means if you are coming to Ghana, it means you want to be vaccinated. So when you'll be forcibly vaccinated. I mean, it doesn't paint a good picture when you put it that way.
Yes. You're definitely right, Jifa. Well, I'm surprised that government is not putting out the EI. It doesn't take much to put out such an EI. So it kind of beggars believe that for a country that we tout ourselves that much for the rule of law, we can begin this mandatory vaccination without putting out the EI. So I think, they should. There's this side that the government has a lot of goodwill, because people's health is at stake, okay? Yes, we know that, well, if you don't take the vaccine, as Professor has indicated, your chances of infection, the severity and all that are far higher, okay? Yes, we accept that. But the law says put out the EI. I know this debate started about 2 weeks ago. People started asking for the EI, and I'm surprised till date it's not out. So, for your question, it's clear that the EI must precede everything. Yes, the EI must precede the mandatory vaccination. Because that's what's clear. Maybe you mentioned the law earlier.
Yes,
But
but I'd like you to take us a bit through. Because there are a few elements in that section that if you read will bring out a few more issues.
Yes. So it says that Section 22 of the Public Health Act says that the minister may, by executive instrument, generally or with reference to a particular district, area, or place of respect to a particular class or classes of persons, order the persons to whom the instrument applies who do not produce satisfactory evidence of successful vaccination to be vaccinated by a public vaccinator unless, in the opinion of the public vaccinator, the vaccination will be injurious to health. You say it. Yes, then it says the instrument may prescribe the age and all those. Okay.
Can you refer to the exceptions for me?
Yes, so the exceptions, number one, if it's injurious to health. So if we go to section 33, it says that at a point, so let's say at the airport, somebody comes in and they want to do the mandatory vaccination. If he produces a medical certificate showing that no, he has some health conditions that don't allow, the minister cannot do so. And then another exception, though it's not written here, but generally accepted in constitutional interpretation, is the religious exception. But let's first read the medical exception, section 33. Yes. Subject to this part, a public vaccinator shall not vaccinate a person who produces to the public vaccinator a certificate signed by a registered medical practitioner to the effect that the person named has within the preceding 7 years been successfully vaccinated, or b a certificate signed within the preceding 4 months by that medical practitioner to the effect that the person named in the certificate is medically unfit to undergo vaccination. So medically unfit to undergo vaccination. So that is one of them. Then I mentioned that the religious exception is not written here, but generally from.
But generally,
yes.
Yeah. I know that there's a bit about having whether it's determined whether a person has natural immunity
Yes,
to the disease.
yes, that one too. Yes, you're right. That's around section 23. Yes, that's one of them there. 23.
Yeah. So is there a real risk of legal action against government that could potentially stop government's effort to push through vaccines that are in the country now? Because the president tells us that we have up to some 15 million vaccines in the country now.
17.
17, okay. Yeah. So it means that we have to use them, otherwise they'll expire.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so as for the risk of legal suit, yes, definitely, you know, being who we are as a people, you know that in no time, some people will go to court. This is not the first time. We've come to accept it that it's a democracy. It can happen. Yes, but if you're going to court, you see that it's quite a complex matrix, very complex. It means that there's going to be a proportionality analysis. You see the two professors, doctor and the prof, from everything you say, you see that it will come down to this. One, there is the desire to do public health, okay, take measures to, ensure public health and safety. And then two, but have we reached that threshold? Is there enough damage? You know, the disease burden and all that, the spread and everything. Has it reached such an extent that we must have compulsory vaccinations? And to do that, that's what we call the proportionality analysis. So if they were to go, the judge will look at all the evidence that they will present, of course, not only from Ghana, from all over the world and all that, and then come to a decision. You see, because you see, from the section 22 that we mentioned, it says that the minister may. So he's going to exercise a discretion. So it means that if they were to sue the Attorney General, then the Attorney General will be asked to justify on what basis did the minister issue the executive instrument. That's when it comes through. Or even if it doesn't, still, the question will be that, on what basis are you doing compulsory vaccination, okay, when you haven't justified? So then, you know, it's science.
Yeah.
So for and against. It means that the person is going to court will also have to justify by science that, look, we haven't reached that threshold. We haven't reached that threshold. Then the judges will look through and then come. But let's do a bit of comparative analysis with other countries. Look, in Kenya, somebody went to court. It's my rush to bring it here. I just forgot, left it in the car. And the court gave an injunction that no, it shouldn't be compulsory. Yeah, it's in the Daily Graphic earlier this week. Maybe viewers can Google, you would find it. Yes, the court gave an injunction that there should be no compulsory, that's the vaccine mandate, shouldn't take place. But then go to America, where this infection has decimated hundreds of thousands of people. This morning, following them, I hear about 800,000 people have died. So let's come to compulsory vaccination. You see the airlines. United Airlines was the first to institute such a measure that all the employees be vaccinated. Out of about 67,000, they've given the exemptions for medical, and then those who have the religious exemptions. Yes, they are the only people they've exempted. But the rest, they say, look, come on, every employee must be vaccinated. It went to court. The judge said, yes, carry on. They tried to get an injunction to stop it. It failed. So you see that in the US, where the burden, I mean, they are leading in the world, people have died and the rest. A court says, please, United Airlines, go ahead with your policy that all employees be vaccinated. So if you don't have these two exemptions, medical or religious, then it means that very soon those employees will be fired. Okay? Yes, there are other packets of cases. Okay? So that's it. So you see that in Kenya, they say no. Okay? In the US, they say, yes, carry on with the compulsory vaccination. And it's not only United Airlines. A lot of
companies in the US and then other countries as well are pushing. Even in Greece, I think for elderly people, if you don't get mandatorily vaccinated, you are fined 150 euros or something like that.
Good. And then ours too. Now let's come to, apart from the section 22 and 23, I mean those sections of the Public Health Act, let's look at our constitution. For those who are sick, okay, for those who are sick, if a doctor says he thinks he has to administer it to save a patient, nobody can question, because it says in Article 30 that a person who, by reason of sickness or other cause, is unable to give his consent shall not be deprived by any other person of medical treatment, education, blah, 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 by reason only of religious or other beliefs. So this exception, this one is for the doctor. Dr. Anaba is here. Maybe he can give other examples. I mean, examples to make it concrete. So from my understanding of this one, when the doctor has a patient and that patient cannot give consent, by looking at the environment and everything, so presumably the patient has a different condition. But the doctor thinks that, look, I want to give this patient the jabs so that we don't want corona setting in to cause any trouble for us. The doctor can go ahead.
Okay. Dr. Anaba, I'll come to you shortly, but just to raise an issue with Professor Wandare before I come to you. We've not been testing vigorously. We don't have a full view of what the infections look like and even potentially the deaths. And then we are not sure if we've actually reached the extent we've reached to desire or institute mandatory vaccination. How would you justify that as a scientist then?
All right, thank you. So one of the things I don't like to do is to talk about issues that I don't have the expertise for. So which is, I'm going to tell you from a scientist's point of view. I'm not a lawyer, so
that's okay.
Martin is here, he's a lawyer. But I have questions for those asking the legal questions. First thing is that people are saying they are forcing you to take the vaccine. Nobody's forcing you to take the vaccine. They are saying that you can't go to certain places. You cannot enjoy certain privileges if you don't have the vaccine. I don't see how that is a human rights issue or a constitutional issue. They are not saying that you need a vaccine to exist or to live in Ghana. I don't think anybody is saying that. What the mandates are doing so far are very, in my opinion, very mild, because they're saying you need to travel. You're going to other countries where they have these challenges there. So please, this is a requirement for you to travel. It's not essential that you travel in order to live in Ghana. You can stay in Ghana. If they say going to a restaurant, you need to be vaccinated, you don't have to go to a restaurant. Please, you can stay at home and cook and eat. So I don't see the legal questions about this, because it's not the kind of activities that they are putting the restrictions on are not essential to life. You understand what I'm saying? So again, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just asking questions.
So that's the question you raised. Okay.
And then the second thing I want to say, the issue about proportionality, which
Mr. Kwebu raised.
Yes. Now, yes, in the US there are so many deaths. We don't have those deaths here. But talk to the doctors who are in the hospital. Whenever we have a wave, the devastation in the hospitals, the chaos, the pressure.
In Ghanaian hospitals.
In Ghanaian hospitals. If you go to the hospitals, the COVID wards, I mean, the devastation there, the risk to the doctors, how many doctors are getting infected because of the pressure of the patients coming there whenever there's a wave. And the fragile health systems that we have, the danger to everybody else. Because when we have a wave, what it means that people who are normally going to have their regular health, heart surgeries and liver transplants, all those things are put on hold, because the whole place is taken over by COVID. And the attention of the doctors and the entire health infrastructure is diverted to taking care of COVID patients. And I don't see why you think that is trivial or that is not sufficient for us to require people to take the vaccine in order to access certain privileges.
Okay. Let me come to Dr. Anaba, because that's a good way to connect with him, because the idea of vaccine mandates is also about how one engages in the public space. And that's a reference that Professor Wandare has made. So if you want to travel, this is a requirement. If you want to go to a restaurant or you want to attend an event, and Christmas is coming. Around January, February this year, we all were thrown into a panic about the significant deaths and infections as a result of last year's, activities in the country. So the question one asks is, should we not be wiser in the way we engage in the public space? Hence, the view that mandates is not about it being forced, it's about how we can engage publicly, whether you are in Ghana or in a different place.
Thank you very much. Yes, we need to engage, but that engagement should be getting people well educated about the vaccine. And I can also tell you that there are even health professionals who have rejected or not willing to take the vaccine because of lack of information. How much more my village brother in Garu, who understands nothing but what is circulated in social media about the vaccine. You see, if we are doctors, when we want to give a treatment to a patient, even if that treatment has serious side effects, we tell them. I'll give you a clear example, chemotherapy. No one wants to put chemotherapy into somebody. The side effects are horrible. But you inform the patient of the good thing about it after that. And also tell him how you suffer before he gets to the promised land. Then the patient makes an informed decision. But you don't impose the treatment on the patient. The patient charter doesn't allow that. Even medicine that have been proven that they work efficacious.
Okay, I think we've lost Dr. Anaba momentarily. We'll get him back. So, Dr. Wandare, okay, you're back? Yes, Dr. Anaba, are you back?
Hello?
Yes, sorry, we lost you for a moment.
Back. I think the network, yes.
Yes, that's
so
okay.
As I was saying, we can't compel people like that to take the vaccine if we have not educated them adequately, telling them the good benefits of it and the side effects of it, when we know that there's a lot of information in the system going around against it. I am for vaccination, but not compulsory. But I'll pick what Prof. Wandari said to ask him some few questions. If he's saying that, and I think it's true, that 50% of Ghanaians, they think that their projection, 50% of Ghanaians have gotten the COVID-19. Yes, which is true, because some of us called earlier that government was not testing enough. And so all the numbers that we have in Ghana were underrated. This has come to be proven that it's true. And if that is it, and we want to check the fatality rate within Ghana, then it will not even reach 1% that we are talking of. It will it will be 0.001%. So where is the agency that we should go on to get people compulsorily vaccinated?
Okay, I'd like to. Okay, so I think one of the reasons, compelling reasons, is because the president in his address during the week indicated that a lot of our infections are imported. A lot of our infections are imported. And the risk to us, I mean, some see it differently, as we've closed our land borders. The people around our land borders, they are poorer people. They cannot fight to have the borders open. People are privileged. They can afford an air ticket to travel in and out. And it is importations that is bringing in these variants. We don't want any further infections or further variants or risk of spread. And so if people are coming into the country, they should be vaccinated so that they don't spread it in the community.
Yes, that is okay. If you say those coming in should have vaccines before they come, it's good. But let me ask this question. Who told you that those who are vaccinated cannot carry the virus? Researchers have proven that those who have taken the vaccine 3-4 times spread the virus more than those who haven't even taken it.
I don't know anyone who's taken the vaccine 4 times though, but maybe 3, because it's 2 and you get a booster shot.
People have taken second boosters. People have taken, they are even talking of full dose. Who has taken full dose? Who knows how many doses you have to take to protect yourself against COVID-19?
But we all know that the standard dose is 2. It's only in recent times that people are getting booster doses. It's only in a few countries that that is being made available.
That is where I have problems with science today. When you take hepatitis B vaccine, 3 of them, they say you have a full dose. And you can only take that in 5 years. COVID-19, people have taken it less than 1 year, they have to get a booster. Do we know when we'll end up getting the accurate dose, interval of injection, to know whether it really works? We don't know yet. Look at Israel. You know that there's a publication in Israel about nosocomial infection, where somebody who was fully vaccinated visited a hospital. Because they thought he was vaccinated, they didn't know she was having he spread it. Several people died. And among those who died, the 14 people who died, 14 of them were fully vaccinated, but they died of serious consequences of COVID-19, meaning that even those who are fully vaccinated can still get the virus, spread the virus, and even die from the virus.
But, you need to be sure, Dr. Anaba, if they don't have comorbidities, if they are not diabetic, asthmatic, hypertensive, have renal failure and the like. So maybe it's not exactly fair to just say that they were fully vaccinated and died. There might be other things we don't know about that also complicated their case.
Jifa, I don't agree with you. If you vaccinate me for polio and I have comorbidities and I suffer for the same polio and die, then means the polio vaccine wasn't good.
But aren't you being unfair comparing COVID-19 vaccine, which has been developed in record time, as opposed to vaccines that have, been developed that many of us have come to benefit from 20, 30, 40 years after the fact, whether it's yellow fever, whether it's cholera, polio, measles, all these vaccines that children take? Aren't we just being unfair, trying to compare COVID-19 vaccine at this time to all these other vaccines? I'm sure there were hitches for these other vaccines as well when they were initially rolled out.
Definitely. I'm not unfair. I'm just trying to be a little bit reasonable. You said that they manufactured this vaccine on record time. It didn't follow all the processes. We have also said here that many people get the COVID-19 without knowing that they've got it and they have survived. It therefore means that we still need to study the vaccine. And if we are still studying the vaccine, you can't be studying something and you want to make it compulsory. Okay. You can't be studying something and want to make it compulsory. In science, if you are going to, even paracetamol we are using today treating, if you want to use that very paracetamol to do a research, you have to go for approval for that very paracetamol we all know has no problem with anybody. You still have to go for an approval for it. And you can't force anybody to be in the research. How come that we are still studying the COVID-19 vaccine, its side effects? On WHO's own platform, they are still gathering data to confirm the efficacy and then the side effect. It is there, WHO platform. Then you are saying that it must be compulsory. You can't be studying a drug and say it's compulsory. We are still, and I will tell anybody who wants to argue, tell me, we haven't done the fourth phase of COVID-19 vaccine. People should take it because we know it has some cushioning effect on the pandemic. Yes, it is there. Let's convince them to take it. But let's not make it mandatory because somebody is believed that, look, I won't take it because I have read of this and that and that and that, and it's not good. I have read all those things, but I've gone ahead to take it. But because it is my will to take it, don't compel people to take it because, look, we have diseases that are killing people left, right, center in Ghana. Yellow fever recently killed more than 30-something people in Savannah. It attacked 100 and something people, killed 30-something people. Look at the mortality rates. About 17%. Is it compulsory to vaccinate yellow fever?
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dr. Anaba. So let me come to Prof. Awandare. Yeah. So I guess we have a hot debate going on now because it's a number of things. Okay. Maybe you want to answer a few things first.
First thing is that he's asking whether it's compulsory to have yellow fever. Yes, the same way if you are going to go to even Burkina Faso, you need to have a yellow fever vaccine.
Yes, but obviously it's not mandatory if you are not going anywhere. So I guess that's the difference.
That's the whole point. But even the COVID-19 vaccine, who is saying that take it if you are not going anywhere? If you are staying in your home, nobody's going to come in and give you a jab.
Yes, but for certain categories of workers now, I get it when we talk about, those engaging the public space, like public health professionals, transport operators, teachers, and all that. But even amongst them, there might be those who may be opposed to that being foisted on them.
No, so you see, maybe the government needs to provide the options. If you are a health or a teacher, a public,
if you fall in that category of
you give them options. Either you take the vaccine or you test yourself every day. Yeah, it's simple. Every day when you come, they'll put the swab in your nose and test you every day before you enter your work. And then you compare the inconveniences of the two, and then you decide what to do. So we need to make these things available. If it has to do with place of work, let's provide the option that you test every day.
What about...
But if it's travel, those are privileges. And we don't need to debate those things. You don't have to travel. And it's been the same for yellow fever for decades. And we've all complied. At the airport, people are about to travel, and they realize they don't have yellow fever vaccine. They go and they give them a jab on the spot.
Or they pay a fine of $150, I think.
I haven't had any uproar. You understand? But just to the more scientific...
So that, can you help us address the science in reference to the record time in achieving the vaccine and the view that this is still under test? So when something is under testing and monitoring, we don't force people to take it then?
Yeah, so you see, there's the problem with that argument is that the reason why vaccines take a long time is because sometimes you need a certain amount of data, a certain amount of people taking the vaccine, and a certain amount of people getting infected by the disease, right? In COVID, all those things are compressed because of the scale of the pandemic. So if you look at the number of people who have taken the COVID vaccine and you compare it to something like hepatitis, It's not even close.
I think COVID, the WHO says what? How many million people have billions have taken the vaccine?
I mean, so to
Africa is, I think, 70 million. The last figure I saw.
Yes, but the world you're talking about billions of people.
Yeah.
Billions of people have taken a vaccine. How many other vaccines have you had? Billions of people taking it. And so if you say there's not enough data, this is really neither here nor there. So you have the unprecedented amount of data on a vaccine. And then you talk about the fact that...
But isn't there an issue about skipping, you know, the protocol lineup?
No. Again, you mean in the process
in the process of achieving...
Again, if you look at the process, approvals. If you look at the process of approving vaccine, a lot of it is bureaucracy. And when there's a pandemic and everybody needs, the vaccine, they cut the bureaucracy. The vaccine didn't join the queue with other vaccines that have been in the process. They moved it forward. And then the issue about the numbers as well. One of the things that delays vaccine development is for you to realize a certain minimum number of people who have been infected by the pathogen. And that's what I'm saying that here. There's more than necessary number of people who are exposed and who are infected. So basically you get the data you need. That would have taken you 5, 10 years.
Then why aren't the scientists fully telling us? Because people keep referring to this, the anti-vaxxers. They keep referring to the European Lancet document that sought to say that vaccinated people...
Have you seen that document?
Yes, I actually saw it on Monday. That's the first time I saw it. Yes, I see it on Monday.
In the scientific community, right, you have 99% of the people agree on a certain fact. And then you have 1% of the scientists coming up with a different angle.
Okay.
But then people choose to focus on the 1% because it's contrary. And so you see, in the scientific arena, just like in the legal profession, you have people's pedigree is important. Look at the pedigree of the people who are saying this is true or this is false. Check their record, check their background. Often you'll see that a lot of the people who are pushing this type of science, they have a history of being against vaccination. So people need to be careful. Look at people's history. You would see that some of these people, they were even against polio vaccine, they were against yellow fever vaccine, they were against every vaccine ever. So
they are just against that aspect of science.
You see, it's sort of like the LGBT issue that some people have certain beliefs.
I'll come to you, Dr. Anna, but don't worry.
People have certain beliefs that they've carried their whole life. But then an issue comes up that gives them an opportunity to mainstream their issue. And this is what's happening with COVID. There are people who have been anti-vaxxers their whole lives. But now there's an opportunity to grow their army because there's a pandemic that everybody is worried about. So they take advantage of this situation, and then they are pushing science that is dubious.
Okay. And so Dr. Anaba, you wanted to come in quickly. I'll let you and then...
But please, I want to correct something else.
Okay, one more thing.
Which the anti-vaxxers use a lot. That, the places where people have been vaccinated, it is those who have the vaccine are spreading the virus this number of times. You see, he gave an example which exposes the flaw in the science that they are carrying. He talked about Israel. He said 18 people got infected, and out of those, 14 had been vaccinated. If you went on the street and looked at road accidents, right? If 20 people died in road accidents, check how many were vaccinated, probably 18 of them. Because in Israel, almost everybody is vaccinated. So if you just take that logic, that because out of 20 people who died from road accident, 18 were vaccinated and 2 were not. That means that vaccination is causing road accident. That's not how it works. It's because the general population, a high percentage of people are vaccinated. So if you take any group of people who have done anything, who have done armed robbery, or who have done, whatever, the highest percentage of them would be vaccinated because in the general population, nearly everybody is vaccinated.
Almost everyone has.
So to do proper science, you look at the percentage of those who are vaccinated who died, and then those who are unvaccinated, what percentage of them died? So you look at within the groups, what is the mortality rate? But you don't just look at the overall percentage. The denominator is very important. And so people take this data and then they use it to mislead people. And because a lot of people don't bother to look in the details, they just get a headline and they run with it. Please be critical when you get this type of information. Look at the source of the information. Look at the track record of the person. How many high-quality science papers have they published in their life? And we scientists, we know each other's pedigree. Check their pedigree. Where are the other scientific discoveries that they've made? Where are they? All right? All of a sudden, they are genius scientists? No, COVID does not make genius scientists. Okay, those who are genius scientists, they've been geniuses their whole lives, and they have a track record. They've discovered many, many things. So I would rather trust somebody who has discovered 20 other things unrelated to COVID. I would trust their information on COVID than somebody who has never discovered anything. Okay. But all of a sudden, they are claiming to be experts in COVID.
All right. A quick point from you, Dr. Anaba, and then I'll have to go for a break, and then we'll come to Mr. Kpebu.
Right. Thank you very much. Let me just end by drawing Prof's attention that the very literature he's referring to states very clearly that 2 of the people who were infested among the people in the ICU never died. They recovered successfully without a vaccine, but other people died of this very COVID who were fully vaccinated. But my question is, he said that millions of people have been vaccinated, so it proves that the vaccine is good. Let me ask him.
No, he didn't say that the vaccine is good. What he said is it provides us a body of data to work with. And so to say that we have skipped what is bureaucracy, to suggest that by skipping that we've not done a good job, it's not exactly an appropriate argument to put forward.
It doesn't provide you all the data to study the drug because you haven't compressed time. The long-term effect of the vaccine, does he know it? Do we know it? We don't know it. And vaccine study must have a long-term effect. We must know the long-term effect of the vaccine. So this vaccine hasn't had a long-term effect. We can even study the short-term effect of the vaccine and say that so far, even those who have taken the vaccine can still get coronavirus, which is true. And besides, people are skeptical that it can change their fertility. And you can't study that now. You have to wait for long-term. You don't know how it will act in our body in the long term. So despite the fact several people have got the vaccine, doesn't mean that you have compressed everything in the production, you have compressed everything, you can't compress time. Long-term effect of all vaccines are known. Long-term effect of all vaccines are known. What is the long-term effect of COVID-19 vaccine?
All right, thanks, Doctor. Okay, thanks very much, Dr. Anaba. So I'll come back to that question, but Mr. Kpebu, now there are questions about engaging in the public space. We don't have an EI specifically, but to the extent that when we engage in the public space, there's potential risk to public health. Can't we at least, based on that, continue to push ahead? Because we know that people are coming in, there are going to be big events. Event organizers are being told to check for full vaccination cards and the like. Can't we at least continue to move ahead and deal with that? Because the risk in the public space is great, even if we don't have the EI in place.
Okay, so we've already moved ahead by implementing the measures, even though the EI is not in place. So it's just about time that we put in the EI to make it complete. Because they started. I hear at the airport, they are administering the jabs and all that, right? Yes, so let's put in the EI. That's very crucial, so that at least we'll be seen to have acted according to law. You see?
Is it always about acting according to law? I know you've talked about us being a country that always touts about being within the space of rule of law, acting within the rule of law. But we are in a difficult situation,
no doubt,
generally speaking. So for the president, even in his speech, is encouraging people. Yeah. So would you prefer that we educate people to go and get the vaccine, or it must be mandatory if you want to engage publicly?
Eclectic. We have to deploy all of the arsenals, deploy all. Yeah, because, you know, usually when you do that, it's good. Because, you see, when you appeal to people's conscience and all that, yes, then they feel respected, they want to comply. So let's use that, and then also let's use the compulsory vaccination. So deploy all, because you see, you realize that human beings, we don't think alike. We are different. No. We are different. You even see the doctor, you see the professor, you see this. Yes, so to that extent, let's use everything at our disposal. Because you see, so far, it's beginning to come out that, the Ghana Health Service haven't done a lot of this adverts to encourage behavioral change and the rest. Yes, it's beginning to expose us that we haven't done enough education. So let's do it, because everybody's health is that important. Very important.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take some text messages that have come through. This one from Ilyasu in Tamale says, I humbly appeal to fellow Ghanaians to go for the jabs. It's safe. Taking the jabs is very necessary in these days of COVID-19 and as the festive season approaches. The history of COVID in Ghana shows that all our cases are usually, the majority of our cases are usually imported, and so enforcement at the airport must be intensified. This one from Degura says, according to the patient charter, you can't force a patient to take a treatment devoid of patient rights and concerns. It's against their human rights, but the alternative is to ensure strict measures within the rules and regulations which we must enforce. Kweku Ajay says, I don't think the vaccine should be made compulsory. I've taken it, but I don't think anyone should be forced to take it. It should be their choice. And one other one from a doctor, I just wanted to quickly read it. It says, good morning, ask them why, for example, do we need a yellow card before we enter certain countries? It's the same here. If you need to enter certain countries or access certain facilities, you would need to be vaccinated, period. And those were some of your messages. Thank you very much. You can send some more to Twitter. You can tweet at me at Beho Bampo. You can also send them to our WhatsApp line 055-369-8789. We take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Have been administered.
Distinguished chairmanship of Selo Magdadivo, CEO of MTN and CIMG Marketing Man of the Year 2020, the 31st CIMG President Ball and induction ceremony of new members will hold on Saturday, December 18, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Accra International Conference Center. The theme for the event is Repositioning Ghana Globally as Africa's finest democracy in contemporary times. Come adorned in your anniversary cloth or formal attire and your nose mask as we bring celebrations of the 40th anniversary of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana to a close. Remember to observe all the COVID-19 protocols even as we wine and dine to celebrate a successful year. For corporate table reservations, call Nana 0552-746-592 or 0242-307-801. CIMG, marketing means business. CIMG, working for Ghana.
It was HUS 10 for the Employee of the Quarter Award. Dubai was calling. Oh, and she almost forgot we are still in a pandemic. So she called asking me where to access a COVID test within hours of her surprise trip. She was surprised I got my results within 12 hours just before my last trip outside. Landbill Laboratory and Diagnostic Center is the place. Unmatched quality service and professionalism with a very friendly, hospitable staff atmosphere. 8 hours later, the email came with her results. Now, you know where to go for a COVID-19 urgent test for your next trip out. They are the most efficient I know of. Landbill Laboratory and Diagnostic Center. Results in 12 hours or less.
Every day, he has a drink filled with malt. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved.
Introducing new Sunlight 2-in-1. It gives you burst, after burst, after burst of long-lasting freshness. New Sunlight 2-in-1 for burst after burst of long-lasting freshness.
A serene environment, state-of-the-art teaching and learning materials, dedicated teachers, small class sizes, and world-class facilities define the excellence at Start Right Montessori and Christian College.
It's a very nice school and I really love it.
The Montessori primary, junior high school, and senior high school levels offers a world-class educational experience.
Looking to choose a school for your ward? Choose right. Choose soft skills. Choose Start Right.
We also run international programs such as the Cambridge O and A levels. We have boarding facilities as well with spacious dormitories. Locate Start Right Montessori and Christian College on the Start Right Lane off Fanny Road, New Botiano. Call us on 0244 098881 or 0244 522 350 or visit our website at www.scc.edu.gh.
I invite you to bring your ward to Start Right Montessori School and Start Right Christian College.
Start Right Montessori and Christian College, the best world-class education experience in Ghana.
It's always an exciting moment when these ladies meet. They put away their differences to bring you closer to everything you need to know.
You don't need a visa to Singapore. You don't have to break the budget to look good. I don't like the saying, dress how you want to be addressed, but it does carry some weight.
So you have a long dress and you want to shorten the length of it, you just do it by yourself.
For interior, you have to first consider who you are.
To share my story, make the fiber conversation a normal one.
In their craziest moments, they forget they're on live television. Realness, humor, intelligence, positive vibes are your weekend package. Join Anita Ekufu, Sika Ose, Miss Flavor, and Helen Apia Ampofu on the Ladies Circle every Saturday, 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Yaz Sanitary Pad, Vodafone, GTP, still timeless.
Woodin.
Music is that one thing that you didn't know you needed, but you have. Are you ready? Let go!
Everybody put your hands in the air.
The house party! Soothing music. Electrifying performances. Worthwhile interviews.
Sometimes we do songs in 3 months, 4 months.
Yes.
What?
The best of the best.
This year, where the party day today.
Music. It's big.
Music shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to the key points, and you can send me your messages at Beho Bampo, also to the TV3 Facebook page and Twitter page, as well as that of 3FM 92.7. So let me come back to Martin Pebu. So Prof was asking about the rights of people in engaging in the space. If you don't have this, you shouldn't engage. Would we be violating people if we don't allow them to engage publicly with or without a vaccine card?
Good. Yes. So the thing is that ordinarily, okay, by the Constitution, Article 14, 21, and all that, people have the right to free movement. Okay. So You are allowed to move, okay, where you want, of course, but there are certain places in order to enter, there are some entry requirements and all that, yes. But ordinarily, there's freedom of movement. But now, with the conditions, if you say that, look, without a full vaccination, don't come to this restaurant, don't come to the National Theatre, don't come to the conference center and all that. So, invariably, that's a curtailment of their right to free movement, right? Yes, but then the question is that, because it shouldn't be lost on us, all the rights come with exceptions. Even without becoming a lawyer, you know that to every rule, there's an exception. So now COVID is being brought up as an exception. But the question is that because we don't have decided cases, we have to analyze, and perhaps maybe some people will go to court to ask the wise men in the court, the judges, to interpret for us. Because the question is that, is it proportional? The fact that there's COVID, is that sufficient a reason to say don't come to the conference center, don't come to the National Theatre and all that? As I said, it all depends on the science.
But there's a criticism of the Ghana Civil Aviation rules and even that of the Ghana Health Service rules, that people will be forcibly returned, particularly non-Ghanaians. Airlines will be fined if people are coming in, they are not fully vaccinated or they refuse to take the vaccine, and Ghanaians inclusive. But I understand that our laws don't allow that. You can't restrict the movement of any Ghanaian. You can do so for a foreign national, but not a Ghanaian.
Yes. For a Ghanaian, if he's coming into the country, he has a right to return home. He wants to come home.
So he or she refuses to take the vaccine.
So presumably, yes, you are not supposed to. For a Ghanaian citizen, that right. That's why I say if people don't agree, then that's why the courts are there. I'm not the final arbiter. Yes, because I support vaccination. To be very clear, I support vaccination. But let's also be careful that we don't use it to trump people's rights. If he's a citizen and he wants to return home, he has a right to return home. You see it in Article 21, okay? So he has a right to come home, and you cannot just send him away. Yes, so come to 21. Yes, 21, 1G. It says freedom of movement, which means the right to move freely in Ghana, the right to leave and to enter Ghana, and immunity from expulsion from Ghana. That's for the citizens. So you see why earlier on I said, in the meantime, once the courts, nobody's gone to court, we don't know what the courts are saying. It's good for us to increase the moral suasion, okay? Let's appeal to people's conscience and all that, so that way, once they feel respected, you cajole them, they are more likely to take it and not fight than to use only the vaccine mandate. Look, we will jab you by force. No. That's why let's deploy them. Because let's say if you jab somebody today by force, and then he goes to court subsequently, and the court says, no, it's wrong, then it means I will be paying compensation. So I think to reduce the risk, let's increase behavioral change. Let's increase the adverts, the moral suasion and all that, whilst we try to find our way through it. Because like you said, in another African country, in Kenya, they stopped the compulsory vaccination.
Okay, so since we are raising these various scenarios and we don't know when the EI is coming, I guess it would be useful that the EI puts in place some of these exceptions.
And then remember that the EI is not that doesn't have the final say. It's not absolute, because somebody can challenge the EI, because that's what somebody will go and ask that, look, the minister should come and justify on what basis he thinks the EI should come in. That's the proportionality analysis like we're talking about. So the minister will go with his science. Then the people who have sued will also show their science. Then when the judges will look at it and to a decision, of course, and look at what the wording is. You see, so it's safer, I think. Let's reduce, let's minimize, manage the risk of judgment, deaths, and the rest. That we increase the behavioral change, the adverts, okay, appealing to people to take the vaccine than to insist on the compulsory.
On the mandatory. All right.
Yeah.
Dr. Anaba, take a final point from you now. So what would you like to see going forward?
Thank you very much. Jifa, I think we all accept that coronavirus came as a pandemic. It has brought a lot of anxiety to the whole world, including Ghanaians. And when you are confronted with an anxiety or a stress like this, people respond to it in different ways. Some would go in to look for solutions, some would try to run away, some would have to depend on others to take decisions, and the rest. For us to get people vaccinated, I think that we need serious education to demystify a lot of things, to calm people, to work on the psyche of people so that they accept the vaccine voluntarily. Because I have made sure that there is no single staff in my hospital who hasn't taken the vaccine. I've not used force. It's the way I explain to them, even though they are health staff. I have made sure all my family members, even some of them are texting me, they are surprised of my position. I made sure all of them take the vaccine because I educated them enough. I think government needs to have an elaborate plan for education about the vaccine. Look, get all the MPs go back to their constituencies and give them support to go around to every community for 30, 40 minutes and talk about the importance of the vaccine and persuade them and see whether by next week, you will have the whole place, vaccination center filled up with people queuing for vaccines. We have to educate them. Get people to do the education, not just use the cheapest way of doing things. Let's force them to do it. It's not fair. I am for vaccinations, but I want people to be educated so that they accept it voluntarily. Definitely, we will not have everybody vaccinating. Even WHO doesn't want everybody to vaccinate because they are saying 40 to 50%. So if we get majority vaccinated, we met the criteria and we are fine. We've got herd immunity and we are fine. But compulsory, to me, is not good. That is the way forward I think we should do.
You mentioned something earlier about inadequate testing. Would you be more convinced if we were to institute measures to promote improved testing, monitoring what those figures look like? That then would give you a better view about why maybe mandatory vaccination should then become the next step in addition to all other measures.
I have always been on government to get testing centers across the country. And I've never believed the figures government is giving. But once they are using the figures to tout themselves for success, I'll use the same figures to tell them that then they have no right to force people to vaccinate because our figures, the impact on us is not that much like other countries who are dying in thousands. So if they want to start investigating now, that will be too late. What we need now is to get the vaccines that we have in the country given to the people. So let's start with serious education. It will be good for posterity, but what are you going to start now to study the whole country? After a prof have said that they have done their research and realized that about 50% of Ghanaians have gotten the COVID before, meaning that we have so many people already with it. Have they done tests to see whether they have all developed immunity? Has tests been done on them to see whether they've developed immunity and that they can be exempted to even reduce our cost of buying medicines? They've not done it. We have always advocated for research to guide us. Let's not follow blindly what other countries are doing. Let's also do our own like Prof. Eko are doing at their laboratories because they were the first to sequence the pathogen. So I think we can do better, but research is necessary.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Naba. So, Prof, I do like to ask, though, do individuals have natural immunity to COVID-19? Are there any individuals or people like that?
Well, so I think this has not been clearly demonstrated, but based on what we are seeing in sub-Saharan Africa, we think that there's some level of protection that we have.
Some say it's the weather.
I wouldn't say it's natural because
some say it's the weather because in the global north it's winter.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why they're having more.
The weather could be part of it, but I think it's more than the weather. I think it's our previous exposure to other pathogens. So in that case, we wouldn't say it's natural per se, as we're born with it, because there are Africans in European countries that are dying from the disease. So it's not something that we're born with. It's probably something in the environment, and that could be partly weather. Because the weather definitely, the colder weather favors the spread of the virus more. But in my opinion, I think that it's our previous exposure to other pathogens which has conditioned us to be able to tolerate. And it's not that we are not getting infected, like we've said. Based on our research, 47.5% on average nationwide have been exposed. I mean, people in public places.
Yeah.
So let me give that caveat.
Okay.
Because we targeted people in public places.
People in public places
People in
who've
public
been
places.
exposed.
So markets, shopping malls, churches, schools, and so people who are, we didn't go to people's homes to test them. We tested people who are out there, who are economically active and mobile and all that. And nation 47.5, they've been exposed. So we are getting infected, all right, but we're not getting severely sick. And I think that is probably because we've been conditioned by the barrage of pathogens we're exposed to as we grow up in this environment. So
the body has built up some level of
resistance,
immunity. Resistance is a better word. Okay.
Because it's not necessarily immunity. If you say immunity, it's as if
we don't get it.
Yeah, and also it's not that we have some specific mechanism for fighting it. What I think is that we've learned how to tolerate a certain range of pathogens. So I think it's more of we're tolerating it.
Okay.
It's not that we are not getting infected, but we're tolerating it better. So when we get it, we don't get as sick and we don't die from it. But we're getting it. But the risk is that we don't know the long-term effects of this. Like my colleague
I
has
think
been saying.
that was a question he posed to you. He wanted to know what.
So we don't know the long-term effects of the vaccine, but we don't also know the long-term effects of the disease itself. So which one do you choose? Okay, you don't want to take the vaccine because you don't know the long-term effects. So you want to get a disease. Do you know the long-term effects of the disease? You don't know. Which one is worse? I think the disease is worse in this case because the disease causes so much disruption in your system, even if you are not feeling sick. The vaccine is something that's well refined. And by the way, when people say that we don't know what it's doing to you, we know what is in the vaccine. It's not a secret what is in the formulation. You understand? It's not as if they put some chemicals together. We don't know what they are. We know what is inside. We know the composition, and we know what each of those things that are in the vaccine, what they do to us. There are things we've been using for other vaccines for a long time. You understand? So what is in there is part of the vaccine plus a lot of other things which we put in other vaccines anyway. So if you are saying that you don't know the long-term effects of the vaccine, I don't think it's actually accurate because what is in there, apart from the pathogen piece, the rest of the composition is something we've been using for other vaccines already. So we know what that will do in the long term. What we don't know about is the piece of the pathogen. And if you are worried about a small piece of the pathogen in the vaccine, what about getting the whole pathogen and many of them into your system? So to make the argument that we don't know the long-term effect of the vaccine, I really don't think it's here or there because what about the long-term effects of the pathogen itself, which we are getting, which half of us have already been exposed to? And Omicron is coming. We don't have the immunity that we have would protect us partly, but not completely because it's a variant that's different from what we have been exposed to. Most of us have been exposed to Delta.
But shouldn't we be worried because these mutations keep coming, and I'm told that there are others that we've not even really dug so deeply into. There's so many of them. I mean, this really is worrying. Doesn't give a positive long-term view of our economy. I mean, a global economy, the global public health setup, what our lives used to be, and what the future bodes for the life we will live.
Yes, so that's true. It's ominous, and I agree with you that this is probably one of the greatest health challenges of our lifetime. But the way to get around that is to encourage people to get vaccinated. If we can get a lot of people vaccinated within a short period of time and we get to herd immunity, it will reduce the spread drastically. It is a fact. So, yes, we don't know what the future would bring, but what is within our control is to try to take the steps to minimize the damage that is coming, and that is to get people vaccinated. And by the way, when we say that people are not getting sick, people are not dying, what about the economic impact of the restrictions that are in place? There's the reduction in economic activity, the loss in revenue to government. These are serious effects. So we can't say that, it's not a big deal, so let's not worry about it. No, we have to worry about it. Even if people are not dying at the rate that they are dying in Europe and other places, there's a collateral damage to the system that is ongoing and escalating. Every time we have a wave, like I mentioned, the pressure on the health facilities, the pressure on health professionals, I mean, it's enormous. So we shouldn't really trivialize.
Should we expect a wave in January, February?
I think so. I think the question would be, how big would be the wave? We have to limit the wave. Let's have a very small wave. If we do not take the measures that are being proposed, in fact, I think we should even enhance the measures. Personally, I think that schools should be required to also be, students who are going to boarding facilities should be required to have vaccination. Because we know that once they get into the boarding facility, they don't observe any protocols. They don't wear any mask. People are sharing rooms with people who have COVID, and they're helpless. You understand? Because most young people are asymptomatic, so they come from home, and they have COVID. They bring it and they give it to everybody in the room and the people in the next room, and so on and so forth. We have to think about mandates for boarding facilities, or provide the testing. I think that a lot of the controversy about this can be addressed if we provide the alternative, which is the testing. Let's deploy antigen testing everywhere. Okay? Let's deploy antigen testing. Wherever a vaccine is required, let's have antigen tests as the alternative. Okay, you don't want to have a vaccine? Let's test you. Let's check your status.
Okay. Thanks very much, Prof.
And for the travelers who come into the country, if you don't want to be vaccinated, then you go into quarantine for 2 weeks. So we are not preventing you from coming into the country, but you have to be put away for 2 weeks.
Final point from you, Mr. Kwebu.
Yeah, so I think we are basically now agreeing on one point, that it's not just about the mandatory vaccination, but that government should think about other ways. See how Doc is put it. So we just go back to the old formula. You go into quarantine if you don't want to be vaccinated. And as I said, I agree with Prof, because as I said, right now we don't know what the courts will say, especially as we've seen in other countries. They say, hey, no compulsory vaccination. Others say there is. Okay, so because we don't know what will happen here, then it's safer to do moral suasion. I think Dr. Anaba also mentioned the same. So it's better that we minimize judgment deaths rather than, oh, we'll jab you. And then maybe the courts come in a different direction, then there'll be trouble.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a really healthy debate. Thanks very much to Mr. Martin Kwebu, private legal practitioner. Many thanks to you, Professor Wandare of WACPIP. He's the founding director. Many thanks to you, Dr. Anaba, as well, executive director. My name is Jifa Bampo. We take a quick break and we'll be back with a look ahead to a busy weekend for the New Patriotic Party's annual delegates conference.
So how are you going to make all of that happen? Come and I'll show you.
Step into success. Enter the Republic Bank digital space, where you have the choice to get more out of life. Download the app, Republic Mobile. No longer count numbers. Set a proxy. Use that to make payments. Simple. Bank anywhere at any time. Use Republic Online to check your investment balance and link your existing accounts. It's that easy. Bank on the go. Get the one account online and enjoy competitive interest rates. Relax with our digital banking suite. Republic USSD *414#, Republic Online and Republic Mobile. Download the app. Republic Bank, we are the one for you.
Ghana's biggest comedy night is here to party!
Romana's Incomplete 3.
Hashtag the party experience.
Christiana Law, when you were not married and someone married you started singing Amena Doko Doko Vimufa. Yes, you are playing.
Date 23rd December 2021. Venue National Theatre. Time 7 p.m. Rate is 60 Ghana cedis regular and 100 Ghana cedis VIP. Dial *447 *332# to purchase your ticket now. For more inquiries, call 0506 780720. Powered by Hallmark Cafe. Supported by Ghana's first ever comedy party.
Every day, he has a drink filled with malt. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day, he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved.
Pepsodent Nature Essentials, charcoal, and lemon essence restores natural white teeth. Herbal extract for strong teeth and healthy gums. Antibacterial toothpaste that protects you and your family. Because every smile matters.
This is Krokwedu and his family. They have just won 10,000 Ghana cedis. You too can win up to 100,000 Ghana cedis. Simply recharge, call more, browse more, use Airtel Tigo Money more, and play the SMS trivia to earn points and win big in the Airtel Tigo Tugumiso promo. So why wait? Dial *500# now.
Airtel Tigo no, my
From 1st November to 31st December, TCL is giving away up to 30% discounts on all the appliances.
Switch from this TV to TCL Killer TV.
May switch from this washing to this TCL washing machine.
Let's switch it from this heat to this TCL AC Papa.
Run away. May switch it from this old fridge to this brand new TCL fridge. May switch it from this bomb phone to this TCL phone.
T-Switch is here to enjoy lots of giveaways and exciting deals in the TCL Feast of Christmas promo. Up to 30% discounts on all TCL appliances from the 1st of November to the 31st of December. Bronya Beye de TCL, the creative life.
1393. You made Grandma smile, and now you are making me smile too.
Hey, Adwa, who is that?
And now 10,000 cities cash too. Hey, where damn coffee? Listen.
The Keys of Mid-Year promo. Simply buy the special Keys of promo pack. Open, scratch, and test the unique code to 1393 and win amazing prizes such as Kente, Westcloth, airtime, and cash from 100 Ghana cedis to 10,000 Ghana cedis for the winners who collect all 4 Edinkra symbols in the promo. Texts are absolutely free on all networks. This advert is FDA approved.
This Sunday on Mentor X, it's the final eviction night. 6 contestants remain, but only 5 will earn a place at the grand finale. To make it past this round, they have to be flawless in all their performances. It's going to be a night filled with all sorts of emotions, and you have the power to determine which contestants make it to the grand finale. Keep voting your favorite contestant's name on the short code *713*13# or download the TV3 Reality app and vote. Join us again this Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on TV3 as the contestants justify their inclusion at the grand finale of Mentor X. TV3 Mentor takes you higher.
Mentor X is brought to you by Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil and Napa Foods, Sense Body Spray,
Club,
Better Malt, Tom Vita, Close Up, Geisha, Drugnet,
Cowbell, our milk.
Done. Why did you get it? 113 plus 100. 100, the 1, the 2.
Fighting.
When fighting.
Touch my butt.
Who painted the Mona Lisa?
Hanya for real.
Wrong. How many days are there in a normal year?
12.
Wrong. 365.
This show is proudly brought to you by Betway.
Celebrity Fun Time this Saturday, 5 p.m. on TV3.
Hola! Women are bold and confident.
No, I think you should take it out. Take it out.
Women understand that fear is just an obstacle that stands in the way of progress.
One of the things that we need to have is that confident children.
Women are intelligent, powerful, and achievers.
That's my many dreams I had as a child. Journalism was never part of it.
We are full of life.
No, you cannot take the child from a good Samaritan. That person is supposed to rush to Dobsu or social welfare.
We are role models and great leaders. Not forgetting, we love to have fun. On Today's Woman, we engage these types of women in different capacity, conduct surgeries into their lives as they inspire us to aim higher. Join Michelle Atto and her guests every Sunday at 3 p.m. as they inspire you.
My favorite is all the rom-coms. The which coms? Romantic comedy. Oh!
Today's Woman shows Sundays at 3 p.m. and repeats Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
Thanks very much for staying with us here on The Key Point. So it's a busy weekend ahead for what? Some 8,000 delegates for the New Patriotic Party, who per their party's constitution are required to hold this annual delegates conference to deliberate on issues relating to the development and advancement of their party. Now, they'll be considering some 38 proposals tabled by various interest groups from the constituency, regional levels, and some are interesting and have begun to even spark debate. We'll take a deep dive into that shortly. But let me introduce our guest in studio, Charles Bisuyo, who is the NPP Western Regional Secretary. He joins us in studio. Thank you very much, sir, for making some time for us.
Thank you.
We'll also have Dr. Ali Nyaba, who is a political scientist at KNUST, join us as well. And then we will speak with the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, John Buedu. But first, let's go over to our team in Kumasi, Evans Inkum and Roland Walker, who have started this coverage for us.
Well, so it is a busy atmosphere here at the Heroes Park, where momentum is gradually building up ahead of tomorrow's National Delegate Conference of the ruling New Patriotic Party. Everything is set, the stage is ready, where dignitaries will mount and address over 6,000 delegates and other party executives who will be coming to the Heroes Park to account, scrutinize, and also look at a possible affirmation of the over 30 proposals that are before the NPP National Executive Council as far as this particular conference is concerned. Very soon, I will be engaging the chief scribe of the ruling New Patriotic Party, John Buedu, to tell us how preparation is going and also the other proposals that are before the NPP. Of course, we also be looking at that mantra, that famous mantra, breaking the eight. How prepared is the ruling party ahead of the 2024 general elections? And whatever that they are going to do, that preparation will begin from here.